Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my attic, but more importantly, welcome to our online service here at Dewsbury Evangelical Church. If you're joining us for the first time, if you're joining us because you're intrigued, you're interested about this topic of happiness, then a warm welcome to you. If you're joining us on Zoom or on YouTube, even if you're joining us on Catch Up, then welcome. My name's Mark. Let me just tell you briefly what we're going to do this evening. I'm going to speak in a short while for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Then we're going to have a little video of a song, and then we're going to have a video of an interview I did with someone from our church, and then we'll close. And the whole service will last maybe about 35 minutes. So let's begin. Let me begin with a story about a time I was in a cafe a few years ago. I was in a cafe drinking, sipping on a lovely Americano. And you know, when you're in a cafe and you just all of a sudden overhear another conversation because somebody is just speaking far too loud at the other side of the cafe. And this woman was speaking far too loud. And so I just overheard her side of the conversation. And it was interesting because of the way she ended the conversation. She ended the conversation like this: at the end of the day, we just want to be happy, don't we? We just want to be happy, don't we? I think it's a fairly fair description about the longings of our hearts. We want to be happy, don't we? So what makes you happy? What makes you happy? Well, there's probably a lot of small things. For me, coffee. Maybe for you, music. This evening, football is going to make a lot of people either very happy or very unhappy. But this evening and then next Sunday evening, this is a two-part series. This evening and then next Sunday evening, I want to look at some of the main ingredients for happiness. Because our pursuit of happiness, and you've likely heard that phrase, maybe because you've seen the film starring Will Smith, but you've likely heard that phrase because it's part of the American Constitution. But our pursuit of happiness is often dominated by these desires, these longings, these main ingredients: love, beauty, justice, identity, and hope. Love, beauty, justice, identity, and hope. These are the ingredients. If we're honest, deep down, these are the ingredients that make up our happiness, aren't they? Are they key ingredients? But they're also broken signposts, as one writer puts it, because they're pointing us to a greater and more permanent happiness. They're broken signposts because they're meant to point us beyond ourselves to the happiness we can have in Jesus. But we've settled for the signposts instead of the destination. We've settled for and become obsessed with the signposts of love, beauty, justice, identity, and hope. And we've taken our eyes off the destination. We've settled for the paddling pool in the garden instead of the ocean in the sun. So this evening and next Sunday evening, I want you to see what, even before discussing whether Christianity is true or not, I want you to at least want Christianity to be true, because it satisfies our deepest longings and our deepest desires to be happy. This is the pursuit of happiness. Not necessarily all the time in this life, of course, because, and the Christian story is very honest about this. We know we live in a broken world. But even in this life, you can taste the great and permanent happiness to come. Once you've got a taste of this happiness, you want more of it. You long for more of it. You desire more of it. So let's just this evening look at two of these broken signposts, these main ingredients of happiness together. And the first one is perhaps the most important of all: love. In another Will Smith movie, Collateral Beauty, Smith's character is giving a motivational speech. I think it's at the beginning of the film, to his employees of his company, and he says this: "We long for love, we wish we had more time, and we fear death. These three things connect people: love, time, death." There's something deep down that we all know to be true, I think. That real happiness is found in a love that lasts forever, that even transcends death. We long for a love that is timeless, don't we? And it isn't taken away by the inevitability of the grim reaper knocking on our door. And of course, it's not just romantic love that we long for, although for many of us, happiness seems to be dependent on that romantic other that will satisfy our dreams. But we also need and desire the love of family. We desire that belonging that we have when we're part of a family. In fact, I read some research a few years ago from a UK university, I can't remember exactly which one it was, that placed family as the most important ideal, the most important value, the most important thing that we long for in this country. And it's right to want these things, isn't it? To want to be loved and to know love, whether through true love of a spouse or love of a family, and even love of friends. And I suspect for many, it's these relationships, it's these love relationships that are the things that often determine our real happiness. But as amazing as love is, this search for the romantic, this craving to be loved, can easily be twisted, can't it? As happy as it makes us, it can cause the most pain and heartache, and that is partly because we've fallen in love with love. We've made love our main pursuit. We've made it our ultimate goal, and so it causes us the most pain. Because we all know, don't we, that the object of our love will either disappoint us, leave us, or eventually die. There's a line in the dystopian TV series The Handmaid's Tale, delivered by Joseph Fiennes' character, which is bleak and yet it's some parts true. And he says this: "Every love story is a tragedy if you wait long enough." Because the inevitability of death haunts all love relationships. And yet that's only true in a world where the God of the Bible isn't in the picture. In a world where the pursuit of happiness is found seeking love at all costs instead of God at all costs. In fact, the Pulitzer Prize winning anthropologist, I think he was writing in the 70s at the time, Ernest Becker, says that the fulfillment society once found in God and sought in God is now found in love. The romantic solution to our aching heart. So once we aspired towards a relationship with God, but now we just aspire towards love itself. And I want to say to you, of course, pursue love. Do it. Pursue love, but pursue the love of God first. Before you pursue any other kind of love, make the love of God, make the love of Jesus your ultimate love. For whereas every other love will either disappoint or lead to death, the love that Christianity describes is the love we all want deep down, that we all long for, that we all desire, a love relationship that survives death. a love relationship that lasts forever, a love relationship that is timeless. And it's a love relationship that is based on sacrifice, that the highest expression of love there is. I think we all get that, don't we? That sacrifice is the highest expression of love there is. And Jesus dying on a bloody Roman cross for us, for you, is that highest expression of sacrifice. Offering you an eternal relationship of love, of belonging that will not let you down and will even survive the haunting reality of death. A love that will change you more than any other kind of love. It's a love that's unconquerable and invincible, challenging, yes, of course, but the greatest loves often are, but utterly reliable and completely faithful. It's a love that does not abandon, and is the love relationship that all lesser, incomplete, transient love relationships are pointing to. Their inability to completely satisfy are broken signposts of a greater, more permanent love Jesus has for you. So if you want a love relationship that lasts forever, if you long to pursue ultimate happiness, then you need to look very seriously at Christianity and what Jesus has to offer. Let's move on. Let's move on to our second and final broken signpost this evening. Beauty. Beauty. One of my favorite songs is from one of the most miserable bands ever. You might have heard of them. I doubt whether you have or not. They're called the indie rock band, the indie rock band Low Gold. And they wrote a song called Beauty Dies Young. And in it, there's a refrain that goes, "But you've got to make the most of today, for beauty dies young." Beauty dies young. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, doesn't it? But there's a massive trend in our culture, encouraged by Hollywood and Instagram and other social media giants that seek to make us want to look beautiful and be beautiful. And often we perceive this as some kind of outward beauty. But there's also, of course, I think we all get this. There's an inward moral beauty, and of course there's natural beauty to gaze at, isn't there? The different shades of dusk at a beautiful sunset, a snow-capped mountain, or the beauty we create in art and architecture and in design. There's something incredibly awe-inspiring and transcendent about this beautiful world we live in, and many of us aspire towards and are pulled towards, drawn towards the beautiful, whether rightly or wrongly. Now, I don't know if you know this, but as of 2020, the beauty industry in the UK is worth £27 billion alone. And research shows, unfortunately, that the more beautiful you look, according to our culture's standard of what beauty should look like, you're more likely to succeed in job interviews and even at work in job promotions. We're obsessed with beautiful. We're obsessed with being beautiful. We like to look beautiful and be around beautiful things. Rightly or wrongly, we are drawn towards the beautiful. But if you live like this and you are obsessed with becoming beautiful and staying beautiful, then it comes at a cost. For as Low Gold sing, beauty dies young. Decay and aging is inevitable. Wrinkles and grey hair and getting old is what we've all got to look forward to. And for many, and perhaps for you, That thought is terrifying. Of course, we try our best to avoid it, don't we? But for so long, we've worshipped at the altar of beauty, and the more we seek it and strive to become more beautiful, the more insecure we feel, the more depressed we get when we start comparing ourselves with others, because there's always going to be somebody more beautiful than us. The atheist academic David Foster Wallace, he died a few years ago. He said this, very perceptive. Worship your body and beauty and sexual allure, and you will always feel ugly. If you worship beauty, then you'll always feel ugly. When you make being beautiful the ultimate pursuit of your happiness, you'll always be playing catch up to the latest craze, and it'll never be enough. It'll never be enough. And the more you make beauty the thing you strive for the most, the more judgmental you might end up being as well towards those perhaps who don't dress the same as you, who don't look the same as you, and even don't weigh the same as you. Let me ask you just two questions. Two questions. Question number one is this: are you obsessed? Are you obsessed with the ideal of being and looking beautiful? And the second question is this: does it make you happy? Does it make you happy? If the answer to the first question is yes, I am obsessed. I do want to look and be beautiful. And if the answer to the second question is no, it doesn't really make me happy, then let me gently encourage you to stop from this relentless and ultimately futile pursuit. Stop seeking beauty as your ultimate desire, because beauty is a cruel goddess, as it were, who will only demand more money, more attention, more time, more sacrifices. And what for? For you to feel better? Well, yeah, of course, that's a good thing, but to get more likes on social media, to get approval of your friendship group? Now, of course, beauty can be a good thing. Please don't get me wrong here, but not when it becomes an ultimate thing in our lives. So yes, we can gasp at the beauty of a sunset or the rolling green countryside of the UK. We can even appreciate the beauty of someone else, but not just the outward beauty, but also the inward beauty. But more than that, we need to stop seeking beauty at all costs and turn to someone who sees you as infinitely beautiful and is himself infinitely beautiful. We call football the beautiful game, don't we? Which, considering how boring and scrappy it can be at times, perhaps that's not the best description, but those who are fans call it the beautiful game, I think, because of the little moments in a game, or the piece of skill from a player, or the amazing goal from our favourite hero, or the winning goal to win Euro 2020. And it's the beautiful game because of the feeling that makes us smile inside and outside. What can I suggest to you on an evening when many will be seeking to find happiness in the beautiful game tonight? To pursue a beautiful person. And it isn't you, and it certainly isn't Scarlett Johansson or Liam Hemsworth or anybody else. In fact, let's stop with this obsession with physical beauty and seek the one who is wholly attractive and beautiful in his very being, in his very heart, in his very actions, in his very words, in his very ethic. We should seek to look toward and find satisfaction in the beauty of Jesus. Because that's where our ultimate happiness can be found. The broken signpost of beauty has made us obsessed with beauty when it should be pointing us towards the one who is morally and, quite frankly, honestly beautiful. Any Christian will tell you that. In fact, I would go so far as to say that Jesus Christ is the most beautiful person that ever lived. And that's not because of his outward appearance, but because of what he said, what he did, because of his heart, because of who he is. And you know, the amazing thing is, if you turn to Jesus, if you pursue him, if you trust in him, he sees you as beautiful too. I read recently about the Japanese art of kintsugi. Kintsugi, I've probably completely demolished that pronunciation, but anyway, it means golden joinery, and it's the painstaking process of mending broken pottery using resin mixed with gold to assemble or repair broken pieces. And the results are astonishing. Just go on YouTube or go on Google to see them. You have this golden thread running through the repaired pieces, and in many cases, the vases become more valuable after they've been mended. Jesus is offering to mend you. He's offering to mend you of what the Bible calls rebellion and sin, which leads to death and decay. And we all know deep down that we're broken, don't we? We all know that we say things, we think things, we do things, we feel things that betray our brokenness, that betray even our standard of what we think good is, let alone God's standards. And it's in this brokenness Jesus is offering to restore you. As a writer says, imagine if our brokenness could be restored into a masterpiece, a beautiful masterpiece by the golden resin of his love. Imagine someone making you look beautiful in the inside, not just the outside. Imagine a beauty that does not fade or decay. This is the beauty on offer to all who pursue the beautiful person of Jesus. This is the ultimate happiness on offer to all who turn to Jesus. And as we draw this to a close, let me finish with a question. If love that survives death and a beauty that does not fade, a broken signpost pointing towards Jesus, or at least they're the longings of our heart that aches for this kind of ultimate happiness, then surely Jesus is worth pursuing, worth investigating, and worth seeking. Is he not? Well, one of the best ways to express the longings of our heart is through music. And we're going to watch a video of a song that expresses this kind of love in the King of Love, in Jesus. And in this song, there's a line that says about him, "My aching heart he satisfies." And perhaps that aching in your heart can find satisfaction in Jesus as we watch this now.
The King of Love, my shepherd is, whose goodness fails me never. I nothing lack if I am his, and he is mine forever, and he is mine forever. Where streams of living water flow, my ransomed soul he purifies, and where the greenest pastures grow, my aching heart he satisfies, my aching heart he satisfies. constrained, but yet in love he sought me, and on his shoulder gently laid, and home rejoicing brought me, and home rejoicing brought me. In death's dark vale, I fear no ill. With you, my Lord, beside me. Your rod and staff, my comfort still. Your cross before to guide me. Your cross before to guide me. And so through all the length of days, your goodness fails me never. Good Shepherd, may I sing your praise within your house forever. Within your house forever. Within your house forever.
So before we finish this evening, we're going to have, I'm going to show you an interview of an interview I did earlier today with somebody called Paul, who him and his wife joined the church, I think at the beginning of this year, really just to help us just to dig into this idea of happiness a little bit more. It's very easy for me just to talk about happiness in the abstract, as it were, but now we're going to see how much of a difference Jesus has made in somebody's life, to look at the journey they've gone through, the story they've gone through, and how Jesus is their ultimate happiness. So let's watch this interview together. Thank you, Paul, for joining us. I've got a few questions. But first of all, maybe just briefly tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you come from.
Yeah, okay. My name is Paul Sweeney. I'm 64 next Thursday. Where's all that come? 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I was born in the Everton district of Liverpool, and I lived in a street called Dobson Street, which is off Breck Road in Liverpool. The school I went to was quite rough, and you basically had to fight your way through school to get anywhere really, and I struggled with that because I've got slight autism, which I only found out when I was in my 50s. My dad left our family when I was 11, so I suddenly had the brave task of being a man of the house. I was only a kid really, didn't know what I was, you know. And being from Everton, of course, my football team is Liverpool, and that plays a big part in my growing up really, and it gave me a sense of being identified, you know, a sense of identification and belonging to something. I've got 5 trades. You have to bear with me here. One of them is an armature winder, which is like repairing electric motors. Senior Air Force movements operator. A chef. I've done that for like 15 years.
Wow.
I'm an approved driving instructor. I'm currently a meter reader, so driving all around West Yorkshire. I've been divorced twice, and I've got 5 children. The eldest one is Danielle, who's 45, and the youngest one is Bethany, who's 25. And I've been married to Jenny for the last 28.
Get that one right.
That's wrong. So yeah, that's it really.
Very good, thanks. Yeah, so you've lived a lot of things happening in your life. I suppose the question we want to ask, connecting with the topic this evening, is where were you looking for ultimate happiness before you became a Christian? What were the things you were looking for happiness in?
probably like just that identity, I suppose, looking for like pleasure in belonging to a community like Liverpool fans, going out drinking with the lads. I was a keen dart player as well. I've got quite a few darts trophies. I was quite good actually. I scored 14 dart 501 once, which isn't bad.
Nice. Yeah.
And the complete opposite of that is I like birds. I like listening to bird song, and I got hooked on birds when I was 6. I heard the skylark singing, and I just fell in love with birds. I like to draw, which again I'm not too bad at. And that's quite relaxing and peaceful, really, doing that, you know. So these are the kind of things that I was trying to get into and looking for happiness in, I suppose. But them kind of things are only temporary, because, you know, you've got them, but you want more. They never really satisfy you deep down, really, I suppose. They don't really give you that inner happiness or peace. So,
Yeah. That's probably a good time to ask then. What changed, and what made you realize that it didn't satisfy? Or was there one moment, or was there a series of moments? And
well, where do I begin? I became a Christian on the 27th of the 6th, 27th of June 1986. And I suppose I was always trying to search for answers in life, you know, but I didn't really find them. One of them was the ridiculous theories of evolution, and there's 3 of them, so I won't go into that. Like, why the way the world as it is today, etc., etc. And my family, most of my family turned to God before that, long before I did, which made me really annoyed and angry and bitter inside. And I used to pull my sister to pieces every time we spoke, and she just smiled at me and told me that she loved me, and that, you know. But it made me, I can't explain, it made me boil up inside. And I remember one time going out to see my mum, and she said, "Look, lad, just have a look at this Bible here, like, have a look at it." Like, so she gave it me, and I threw it across the floor, and it split the back, and I've got it. I don't know if you can see that. Look, see that big split there?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, and God said to me, "You're going to have that back one day." And I said, I just wasn't interested, just really wasn't interested. But deep down, Mark, I knew that it was something inside me was telling me it was true, you know, what my family was telling me. And I was in denial for about 5 years. And I think the moment came years later when I went to the House of Stadium in 1985 to see Liverpool play. 39 people died. I didn't even watch the game because I was absolutely sick to the stomach, you know. I thought, what is good? These questions come back again. Why is the world the way it is? What's wrong with it? Like, why are people the way they are, you know? And a year went by, and I felt like God was calling me all the time. You know, He constantly calls you. And in the Bible, Hebrews says, I think it's Hebrews, I can't remember, but it says God's word is quick and powerful and sharper than any 2-edged sword, and it penetrates your backbone. I knew I couldn't really fight it off anymore, and I knew that where I lived at the time, I was living in Runcorn at the time, and I heard of a man called Dave Cannon, and he was an ex-Hells Angel, and he was a huge, massive, big lad, you know. So I went out to see him, knocked on his door, and he wasn't in. I felt in turmoil, I didn't know what was happening to me, so my wife at the time, the ex-wife at the time, wasn't in. So I went into my house, went upstairs, got down on my knees, and I cried like a baby, and I said, "Lord, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I didn't mean to do the thing, I'm sorry," I blurted out something like that. And anyway, through the tears, I looked outside the window, and I seen the sun, and it was all like splayed. I can't explain it, Mark. It was just like, it was wonderful, you know, it was wonderful. I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it. And I closed my eyes again and opened it, gone. In about 3 seconds, it just gone. And I knew at that point that there was more joy in heaven over me repenting of my sin than anything else. Like, I even felt the angels must be singing, whether or not they do, I don't know. And I went outside, and I was smelling flowers and everything, and I just felt alive. That was wonderful. And straight away, I went over to see my mum, who lived about a mile away, and I knocked on the door, and she said to me, "You become a Christian," and she knew straight away. And so she gave me back that Bible, and she said, "Yeah, it is the Bible," and I clung onto it, and I was clung onto it in tears. So my identity now is with Jesus. Basically, it's all His. Life is His. The world is His. The universe is His. It's all His. And sin separates us from God, but He made a way back. Christ made a way back, and He's not some distant, powerful, almighty, thunderous God that you can't look at and dare to look at, and you've got to please Him every day. Isaiah 1 verse 18 says, come now, let us reason together. Though your sins be as scarlet, they should be as white as snow. It's like God saying, can't we sit down and talk about this, And that's how personal He is. He wants to be a part of your life. And if people are watching this and thinking, oh, it's just a load of rubbish, I can say it's not, because it happened to me. It happened to me, and it's the best thing that anyone can ever do. He's an intimate, personal God, and He wants that one-on-one relationship, and I'm so thankful that He came to save me. That's it.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you. Oh, what an honest experience and testimony of the happiness that we can have in Jesus. And Paul talking about the identity that he was looking for elsewhere in football, but ultimately he found in Jesus is a good trailer for next week. Remember that this is part one of a short series on the pursuit of happiness, and identity is one of the broken signposts we'll be looking at next week. So we're drawing to a close this evening. Thank you so much for joining us, for sticking with us. Look, I really hope that you'll come back next Sunday evening. You might even want to join us next Sunday morning. We have a service in the morning at 10:30. You can either join us online or in person. It's a hybrid service. If you want to join us in person, then you have to sign up on our website, but that would be great. But remember, next week we've got part 2 of the pursuit of happiness, the broken signposts that point us to Jesus. And I want to end with just two things. I want to end with a verse from the Bible, and then the question that I ended with just before the song that we listened to. And the verse from the Bible is a verse from the Psalms, which is a book in the Old Testament that is a book of poetry, but a book of songs, and it's Psalm 34 verse 8. Taste and see that the Lord is good. How happy is the person who takes refuge in Him. And the question, surely it is worth investigating. Surely Jesus is worth pursuing. Surely Jesus is worth seeking, if this happiness is on offer, isn't it? Well, thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again next week.